Welcome to Scaling with Heart, the show where growth meets humanity. I'm your host, Nikki Duncan, and I sit down with operators, founders, and change makers who are building smarter systems, stronger teams, and more intentional lives. Whether you're growing a business, leading a team, or leveling up your own work, this is your space to learn how strategy, creativity, and heart come together to scale what matters. We'll explore the tools, mindset shifts, and leadership habits that turn complexity into clarity and ambition into aligned action. Let's get into it. Today's guest is Lisa Riggs. She's the founder of Spirit Socks and is proudly known as the Sock Queen. Lisa began her career in human resources at NetApp and nearly a decade ago began building her own business. Today, Spirit Socks is a nationally certified, woman owned company. She's taken a simple product and turned it into a premium brand experience. Spirit Socks creates custom knit socks that brands love to gift and people love to wear. I've experienced that personally. Lisa generously donated custom socks to support My Woman of Impact campaign that raises awareness for heart health and benefits the American Heart Association. Her commitment to quality extends beyond business. It shows up in how she supports her community. Her work proves that thoughtful design matters, operational excellence matters, and quality matters. Lisa brings systems thinking to everything she does, leads with people at the center, and executes as a hands-on founder. Thank you for being on the show today. And I am so excited to learn more about you and your background and how you got started with Spirit Socks USA and what you guys do.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm pleased to be here. So Spirit Talks pretty much started with an idea. I had actually had started my career in HR, and when I had kids, it was something where I was trying to balance everything with my family and decided to stay home with my kids, and it was the best decision I ever made. But I had them young, and so pretty, early in my life, they grew, sorry. Pretty early in my life, I realized like, I'd given up my career, I'd sacrificed that, which was fine, but I really needed to find something for me to make the rest of my life meaningful. And I was on the Education Foundation board, I was running the after school sports program, and I had this idea to do socks as a fundraiser because it was 90% parent funded. And we'd done t-shirts the past year, but when I looked around for, I contacted all my t-shirt people, nobody was making socks. And I was like, how is nobody doing this? We can match them to their uniforms, we can give them to the coaches. So anyways, I ended up finding somebody and we sold 200 pairs in 4 days. We made a $17 profit margin per pair and I had to reorder immediately. And so with that success, it was kind of, I stepped back and thought, should I do this? And did the cliche, sit at the kitchen table with my husband and decided, yeah, so it just all started with that idea. And, it started to, I wanted to be different than, some of the other sock companies out there, or all of them if I could. And so really started with that fundraising niche because as I had been home with my kids, I'd really developed a lot of fundraising skills and experience. That's what I had been volunteering doing. But in about 2020, I realized we were really pinholing ourselves, and so rebranded to Custom Socks, and it's just opened up everything. We make socks for. I challenge people to think of something that we haven't made a sock for because it's like from rocket launches to pig farms to fertility clinics to your local school or the American Cancer Society. Like we've just kind of run the gamut. So it's
Oh,
been an amazing
good.
experience.
That sounds like so much fun. And I know what you're talking about, those conversations at the table, right? I mean, I've had those. I've had several of those over the years, with my own husband and how could we, doing our own thing. And he's got his own company and I just started mine. And so I know exactly what you're talking about wanting to develop something for you
Yes.
and but still being able to accomplish something and give back for other people.
Yes, exactly. And I part of mine too was setting an example for my kids. I
Mhm.
really wanted to show them that succeed or fail, going after your dreams is something possible. And so it was, that was a big motivator for me too, is just setting that example for them, hoping that if they see me work through it, it's hard work, there's no lie about that. But what are the rewards? And then focusing too on what is that reward? It's not, it's going to be different for every person, but what is that reward for you? And as you said, like for me, giving back and making being making an impact in communities is really the key priority.
Right. And I love that. And that's, and I know making an impact is how you and I got connected
Yes.
because I've been nominated for the Woman of Impact campaign for the American Heart Association. And I know Bob Sager on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And he and I were brainstorming ideas. And he says, you know what? I'm just going to brainstorm some ideas and put it on my LinkedIn newsletter. And then he was talking about tomatoes. And then you commented on his post and he was like, hey, Lisa, tomato socks. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? I don't understand. And then, but you and I started this other, this whole side conversation about, socks and tomato socks or tomato heart-shaped socks and then you were like, oh, I've got these heart shapes, those heart socks that we did for the American Heart Association. And you guys were so generous and sent me socks for that campaign. And I have great plans for those. I have a couple of events planned and there'll be giveaways. And I really want to have people who get them, take video of it and create little dancing feet, if you will, with this, with the socks on. And, and another one of Bob's clients and friends, she wrote a song for the
Yes, yes.
thing. And it was so funny when I was talking to Jennifer about writing the song. She says, I don't know why. She says, just happy heart is in my head. She's like, the happy heart. That's just stuck in my head. That's what I think it's going to be is happy heart. I'm like, okay. And then I was talking to you and the socks are called Happy Heart. I'm like, that is so funny. Um, and I've heard Happy Heart several other times pop out of people's mouths throughout the campaign so far. And it's like it was meant to be.
It was definitely meant to be.
And I just love it. And I think it's so much fun. And I have even since I've sent my daughter is a school teacher. I'm like, hey, there's this company and they could do socks for your choir kids because she's in
Yep.
choir and you were talking about matching socks to the uniforms and things like that. And and she's always looking for unique fundraisers. And a lot of schools have the policy that if one club is doing the fundraiser, another club can't do the same fundraiser.
Yes.
Um, and so it is such a unique thing because we've never worried about socks before.
Right, right. And that's actually part of my thinking in creating this company as a fundraiser was at the time, I'm in California, and they were becoming really restrictive on health and wellness guidelines
Mhm.
for school fundraising, which was taking away a lot of my kids' schools relied on food fundraisers. And
Right.
all of a sudden those were gone. And that was money that we were reliant on every year. Like it was budgeted that we were going to get this, and all of a sudden it was gone. And so as I was taking that in and just thinking, socks are something people wear every day, except
Mhm.
maybe in Florida. It's the Floridians are always the ones who are like, we don't wear socks. And they're like, okay, we can't make everyone happy. It's okay. And yet we do really well in Florida anyways. But people wear them every day. They're gender neutral. They're one size fits almost all. It's just so easy. And I knew that from my years of volunteering at the schools, how easy this could be
Right.
for them. And it's just, we get super creative with it. We've done actually many socks for choirs because especially we do a lot with choirs and bands because they have to fundraise so much to
Yes.
go to travel to their competitions. And so I think early on in the beginning, my understanding of kind of all the things that happened in the school really did help launch the company because I could speak their language. I'm actually going to, it's called CATA, it's the California Association of Directors of Activities, one of the most amazing organizations I've ever been a part of. We're silver sponsor, and their conference is not next week, but the week after. And And it's athletic directors, activity directors, principals, and they're all just trying to do right by their schools. So it's always so motivating to just go see, go meet teachers and everybody just doing what they can for their
Right.
kids.
And I love that. And having raised two daughters, I know exactly what you're talking about, being in the school, doing the fundraisers and, my girls, well, especially my oldest, was very involved in school activities. She was in marching band, and we were always looking for ways we did rely heavily on those pie fundraisers.
Yes, yeah.
And, but we were always looking for ways to help the kids feel more like a unit.
Hmm.
And for the most part, in the summer when it was still so hot, before we started making them before the directors, not we, but before they had to wear the full band uniform, they had a summer uniform and they wore
Yeah,
the summer uniform to parades, and it was khaki shorts and a shirt. And the shirt was the show shirt is what they called it. It was a different marching show every year, and the show shirt was for that year, and that was a fundraiser.
right.
But it could be so much more fun to add socks to the shirt.
And they'd be the only ones out there with matching socks, probably, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it would
Yep.
be so much fun to add that in, and it wasn't something we ever thought of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even if it wasn't show shirts, but it was just the band logo on it kind of thing, and that's something those kids would wear forever,
Hmm.
until they killed their socks. Uh,
Yes. Ours actually are very good quality, and I have my son especially are very good testers, and I mean they actually last 2, 3 years at least with the kids wearing
nice.
them, and we've gotten tons of feedback from happy parents or teachers saying, "Whoa, these actually last," and the kids are, and that's the kids can wear them for a very long time, which makes everything just go farther. Everything you did
Right.
for them just goes farther if it's something they can keep. So yeah, and a
Yeah.
lot of times when we work with bands we'll make a special band sock, but then if they're doing it as a fundraiser, we make a school sock too. So they can sell that to the entire school and they can
Hmm.
just raise that much more money. And so
Right.
it's all just trying to help them accomplish their goals and get to those competitions and feel great when they're
Right.
there, right?
Yeah. You got to have happy marching feet.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes. Well, Lisa, I know that from what I've read about you online, because I did a little bit of cyber stalking.
It's
Just
okay.
just gentle, just little. I mean, it's all stuff you put out there. You volunteered it, so it was
I
free
do
for the taking,
volunteer. It's
right?
free reign. Yep.
Um, can you talk a little bit about how you approach leadership within your company, and how you've scaled from zero to where you are now 10 years later? You said your 10-year anniversary is this Sunday. Can you talk about the journey of scaling that business a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, it's I would define it as a journey of trial and error. I feel like I take risks, calculated risks because you have to know if it's successful or not. And some things have worked and some haven't. And so growing the company, most of growing the company has been some of the trial and error, but most of it has just been persistence and just the refusal to give up. I'm not somebody that just my personality in general, I just don't really give up. And so that's been very valuable to be an entrepreneur, because there's been, in the last 10 years, there was the pandemic. People didn't need custom socks when they couldn't were afraid to go outside, right? And so
Right.
I pivoted the company to custom face masks and was able to keep the doors open, and use that kind of downtime to rebrand the company into custom socks. And so I think it's the persistence and, like I said, refusal to give up, but it also is maximizing, like always looking to the future and how can we get better? How can we do more? And so that's and taking those risks. It isn't if you're safe. I feel like if you're safe, you're not going to make it. You've got to take the risks. And actually, one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was just going to start my company was from one of my close friends, and she said, As you go out there and you start sales, don't go out to like your first or your second network. Start with your third network because she said you're going to get a lot of no's. You're probably going to get 1,000 no's for every yes. And she said it would hurt so much if that's in like your personal, your first, network of people, your personal network. So she said start with the ones that you don't have a very good chance with. Get yourself used to no. And then when you get the yes, it's a huge celebration. And I think like I definitely took that to heart, followed her advice, but also part of it too is if you don't go after the no's, you'll never get the yes. And
Right.
so do I always ask the question, am I going after, WNBA teams and NBA teams and, professional baseball teams? Heck yeah, I am because when I get that yes, it's going, it's a difference maker for the company. And
Right.
so you've got to, you've just got to go after it.
Yeah. I read a book a million years ago. Um, Reject Me, I Love It.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if that was one of Og Mandino's books or if it was by somebody else. I don't remember who wrote it, but I remember that book and he was talking about, how in sales, every no is one closer to the
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
And, and you got to get through the no's to get the yeses, and you've got to get comfortable. You've got to be comfortable with rejection if you're going to have your own business
You
and
have
scale
to.
something and grow something. Yes.
You have to.
Because otherwise you're going to be curled up in a corner,
Yeah. Well, and there
doubting your
definitely are those
self-worth.
days. I mean, I certainly allow I have pity parties. I think we all, you have to. It's so
Right.
hard and the ups and downs can be so dramatic sometimes. But what I've always done is like I allow myself that pity party that night and then you got to get it back up the next day and get back to it. So
Right.
that's kind of the attitude that I've taken. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, but having a supportive network really makes a difference too. It's just those people you can call and or talk to and just um, you know, get the encouragement from people who love you and know that the world isn't ending. It's
Right.
like okay, be able to put it in perspective, right? Of like okay, okay, I can get through this.
Yeah. And that was one of the lessons that I tried to teach my girls, when things didn't go well. My older daughter was always in team sports. So when
Yeah.
when they lost something, it was a team loss and the whole team was there, to pick them up. My youngest daughter did competitive horseback riding, and so it's her and the horse.
Yeah.
If you didn't win a class because you miscued the horse, that's on you. You've got to own that. But sometimes, even when you go in and do everything perfectly right, the chips just don't fall the way you wanted them to fall. Maybe that judge that you're in front of doesn't like a brown horse, they only like red horses. Maybe, you never know, right? What's in somebody's head. Maybe they don't like the fact that you're wearing a red shirt, they prefer blue. I mean, who knows? But teaching her how to, you know, take the loss, accept the loss, learn from it, and move on. And later in her show career, and we'll say she's on a hiatus. I can't say she'll never go back, but she's in college right now, so she's not actively showing. But later in her high school career, when she shifted to doing dressage,
Hmm.
she learned, and I don't know if you know anything about dressage, but for
I
those who
do
do,
from the Paris Olympics.
all right, there you go. But in dressage, you've got from this letter to this letter, you execute this task. At this next letter, you shift and do this next task. And when they mean at, they mean at.
Hmm.
And sometimes that works beautifully and sometimes it doesn't. But
Right.
what she learned in doing dressage was, when she was in main ring competing and they were doing 4 laps of the same thing, she had all the time in the world to correct an error.
Hmm.
Oh, I picked up the wrong canter lead. I have time to bring him back down, and and you could hide those mistakes in a big ring with a bunch of people. But in dressage, you're the only one. in the ring and the spotlight is 100% on you. And if you mess up at this letter, you learn to make decisions rapidly. Do I stop and fix it here? Or do I go with the mistake until the next letter and correct it at the next letter?
Yeah.
And you have to learn to make those shifts. And so, we joke about having our pity parties. There's no time for a pity party
Yeah.
in some of this stuff. And, I've thought in watching her learn dressage and watching her learn how to make those quick adjustments, it's occurred to me how we even do that in business.
Yep.
And sometimes we have the time to slow down and really think and analyze what's going on and how do we fix it. But other times we have to move fast and we
Hmm.
just have to, go with our gut and go with what we think is best in the moment. Um, and that is such a huge lesson to learn.
Yeah. I agree. No, it's funny as you were saying that. That was something my husband and I grew up playing sports. Our daughter was a pretty competitive soccer player, and it was the lesson we always taught her was you are going to make mistakes. She also is a perfectionist, which she gets from me. Sorry, and sorry, Kayla, but it was it was to make a mistake, but you react to that mistake. When you make the mistake, do you do this and do you like drag your hands on the field and do this, or do you go after it?
Right.
And I took that into business too. Like I definitely, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, and but it's okay, I made the mistake. How do I respond to it now? And how do I get myself out of it?
Right.
And so I think it's a good way, I think maybe to just handle pressure and challenges of just knowing that you're not always going to succeed, and then how do you react to that? And
Right.
that's what you get judged by a lot of the time, is how you reacted to the obstacle, the
Right.
challenge.
Not that there was the obstacle and not that even if you messed it up, but how did you react?
Exactly.
And I always thought it was great. The team sports, and my oldest was not real athletic. The youngest one, she's one of those people that people dislike her just on principle alone because she exists. And she says, I want to learn to play the guitar. And she's playing the guitar. It's like, really? 2 lessons and she's playing the guitar. She wanted to learn how to play piano. I got her a piano teacher for a little bit for one summer. He came in and he gave her one lesson, taught her the scales, told her to practice, and he'd be back next week. He came back next week, and no joke, she was playing Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
He looks at me, he's like, seriously, what is going on? I'm like, that's just her.
Yeah.
She's just, that is that's her non-neurotypical brain, her neurodivergent brain. And she's just, I don't know, she can just do that stuff. Um, but because of the way her brain is wired, she also, like you mentioned, your daughter being a perfectionist, getting it from you. Alyssa's very much, I need this to be this way. And
Yeah.
she can get dug in, but riding horses and having that activity really helped her find a way, which makes me think, Lisa, of another company you could go after, all of the equestrian groups, USEF,
Yeah, that's one we
USDF,
have not gotten into.
all those custom, because with, these kids who, with Alyssa doing dressage and hunter pleasure, all of them wear the field boots that are way high up. It's really hard to find a good sock that will go up to your knee and not slide down and not
Yeah.
rub and not bunch. It's like,
I like it.
it's
My
real
brain is
tricky.
working.
It was not uncommon for me to spend $25 on a pair of socks for her to wear under her show boots.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's such a it people like ignore socks. I guess you almost take them for granted, right? It's just something you put
Hmm.
on. But gosh, in competition, it can be the difference between winning and losing sometimes. And so
Yeah,
it's a really key piece of a uniform,
yeah,
no matter what, uniform it is.
absolutely. It's, you know, you're right. We don't think about it, but we should because we do things from the ground up
Yeah.
and socks are at the ground. So, I mean, they're the first thing,
Yeah.
ground up. We got to think about those. And I love the socks that I got from you. I absolutely stole a pair for myself. Uh,
That's good. I would expect that. Yes.
I stole a pair for myself. And, I was kind of having fun to create some content for you guys, even for the campaign. I gave a pair to my mother-in-law. And if you haven't seen my Instagram yet today, my mother-in-law's dog is the Instagram post today, and she's got the happy heart socks on her ears.
I will definitely look. That sounds
And
great.
I have a picture that'll go on next week. I'm doing like this little funny thing, as long as I can get pictures of silly pictures with the dogs. Um, my mother-in-law's dog is today, and next week I've got a picture of my dog, and I'm even trying to get a good video because it's tricky of the horse wearing the socks on
Oh
the
yeah.
on the ears, right?
Yeah.
Because I have one that will tolerate that kind of stuff, but so far, every time I put them on, he shook his head and they go flying off. And then I'm plucking shavings out of them. I'm like, really? You're killing me.
That's funny.
But having fun with the horses and the animals, and but they're very comfortable. I've worn them around the house. They're very comfortable, and I get cold toes really easy, and they're just enough to wear with my tennis shoes, but not so much that my feet are hot. And I mean, they're just perfect. It's
Thank you.
it's
Thank you.
like Goldilocks socks. They're not too
Yeah.
thin, not too thick. They're just right in the middle. Um, yeah, and I really, really like them.
I
My
appreciate that. Thank
my dog
you.
didn't like wearing them,
Well, they're not
but
used to it. That's okay.
I figured that was probably okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
He was like, "Mom, really get these things off me."
Yeah. Most dogs are not fans of being dressed up, but they will tolerate
Yeah,
it because they're
yeah.
dogs and they love us so much. So yeah.
Yeah, if I try to put anything on his head, 100% he's gonna eat it. But the socks, he just pulls his foot out and he's like, no. He's really funny and I don't do it to him very often because he does hate it. Uh,
Yeah,
but the horse, I absolutely will put stuff on the horse all the time. My daughter especially puts stuff on the horse. She was always dressing him up.
that's
I said,
funny.
you're a weird kid, but but so am I.
Yeah, I think
So
we
it's
all have
all
a
good.
little bit
We
of
all
it.
have to own
So
our
good.
weird.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what is, because we are coming up on time,
Yeah.
one, what is the biggest operational mistake you think you made along the way and how people could avoid something similar?
Yeah, actually, it came to mind immediately. What I did not um, I did not trademark the name of my company. And in the beginning, I didn't legally, which when you don't do that, you're not legally protecting yourself.
Right?
And the biggest reason I didn't was because I didn't think I was worth it. I was like, oh, I'm not Apple. I'm not some huge company. And I undervalued myself, which put myself at risk because we did have a particular instance where somebody came and basically stole all of our, was trying to steal our Instagram content and was taking our content and off our website and putting it directly into their stuff. And there was no legal and trying to steal our customers. And there was no legal ramification we had because we weren't trademarked. And so it's a big piece of advice I always give people when they're going to start their company is you're so excited to start your company. You're like, what's the logo going to be? What are the colors? What's the name? All that good stuff. You check the to see if you can get the URL.
Mm-hmm.
You also should check the USPTO, which is the US Patent Trade Office, and see if you can trademark that name or if it's already taken. It's because if you can't, it's not that expensive to do, actually.
Right?
It's a very good investment in, just protecting your company from things that happened and or things that could potentially happen. I feel like with AI, it could get even riskier now.
Right.
It's so quick and easy to access data about everyone, every website, everything out there. And so that is definitely the biggest mistake I made. And the sad part is like it was mindset that caused that. And so I just encourage everyone out there to, you are worth it and, try to get that trademark as soon as possible.
That is a great piece of advice. because I did just start my own business and I did file for the entity name and all that. But you're right, I didn't trademark it.
Yep. Yeah. And so when I finally did look, I got declined because somebody was Spirit Socks, Socks. But what happens is if the trademark, if they let it go, you can get it. And so I
Right.
got trademarked last year. It was a huge victory. I feel so much better that we are legally protected. And we actually have had to issue cease and desist against people who have they've stolen the name of our socks and used like put it in the URL. So they're basically stealing our
Mhm.
SEO that we have built with Google.
Right.
So yeah, it can hit you on so many levels. And if you don't have that legal protection, you have no, avenue to get them to stop. They can just steal, 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 and there's nothing you can do.
Wow, that is a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
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 Thankfully, it wasn't, it was never hugely detrimental to us. It
Right.
was, and it was something I was able to rectify, but it definitely is something would advise everyone who's got a business.
Yeah. And I like how you say that it all started because of a mindset,
Yes.
because our mindsets are so powerful
Yeah.
and they can treat us really well or they can do us a lot of harm
Yeah.
if we're not clear on our value and what we bring and why we're unique and why are we worth it.
Everybody's
Um,
worth it. You're all
Everybody's
worth
worth
it.
it.
And
I love
that's
that.
the keys.
Yes, I love that. Well, Lisa, as a parting message, can you talk about what you're building toward next and tell people where they can find you and yeah, where they can find you?
Okay, yeah, sure. So we're the one woman-owned company in the custom sock arena. I say and so we're doing our best to, play with the big boys on the playground. And so we're growing the custom sock piece to, just basically be able to improve communities, add value to all of our customers. And actually, one of the areas that I'm starting to focus more in is women's sports, professional women's sports,
Mhm.
because again, being the one woman owned, it just fits, and I feel like we can, like it shows little girls what they can do on and off the field. If you've got the woman owned logo on the socks, and then they watch the athletes play, so we're doing a lot in that arena, but just socks in general, we work with airports and retailers and all sorts of things. So that's
I
where we're
love
going.
that.
You can find us on our website, which is Spirit Socks, SOXUSA.com. And then we're very active on our socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah.
And socks is always with an X,
Socks is always with an X. Thank you.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, throughout the years, have acquired the moniker the Sock Queen. And so you actually can search that if you can't remember the name of the company, which I have found like a lot of people, they don't remember my name, they don't remember the name of the company. They do remember Sock Queen. And so there we have it.
Right. I can't remember what her name was, but she was the sock queen.
Exactly.
Have
Exactly.
you
It
made a
doesn't,
tiara made of socks yet?
no,
Oh,
no.
come on. I feel like somebody needs to make you a sock tiara.
I am not a tiara wearing girl. I was
I feel like that should be a challenge to somebody in your company to make you one for Halloween.
yeah, it's not gonna happen probably. I'm much more comfortable in a baseball hat. So
All right, all right, all right, all right.
yeah,
Well, maybe they
sorry.
need to make you a baseball sock, baseball hat sock.
Yeah, I could just wear them on my feet and show them off
You
there.
mean put socks where they belong?
Yeah.
Not on dogs, not on
No,
horses,
actually,
but on feet.
for the first, I don't know, 5 years of the company, my dog, every single newsletter, I posed him in socks and he was part of it. So no, I love that stuff. My team and I all have dogs. We love them.
You could make dog socks.
We could.
My mother-in-law and I have talked about, she's got a little poodle and she's white. And every
Hmm.
time she takes her outside for a walk, now the poodle's feet are black. I'm like, you
Yeah.
need to put her in little boots.
We
They
could.
make little boots and
They
socks and
do. There's
things.
a lot of them out there. There are
Yeah,
definitely a lot of them out there. So I think we may just stay. That's actually one thing I have done this whole time is I've decided to just do one thing and try to be the best at it. And so
right.
I've stayed in
Yeah,
my lane, which is why I don't do hats and t-shirts and sweatshirts and coffee cups, etc. And so, sorry, I'm gonna just stay in my lane
stay
and
in your
stay
lane.
with people
Mhm.
socks and
there's
maybe
some,
we'll expand.
there's something powerful about staying in your lane,
Yes.
knowing your lane, knowing your strength, and playing to it. And I think because you do so much customization, with the design, it's not like it's just one kind of sock. You do have different kinds of socks.
Yeah, we have all styles
Yeah.
from, I mean, bamboo and fuzzy, compression, athletic, and dress are the most popular ones. But yeah, we basically so that is like we do one thing and we try to be the best at it. But there's a lot of styles to choose from, even
Right.
though it's only socks. Lots and lots of things we can do.
Right. I think and yes, I love that. And I know a lot of people who love socks.
Yes.
Every year we get socks in our stockings
Yeah.
as as some kind of gift. And I didn't know about spirit socks at Christmas, or my kids would have gotten spirit socks in their stockings for Christmas
Well, maybe this
because
year.
maybe this year, that'll be the socks. But yes, well, I have really loved this, Lisa, and I appreciate you being here and sharing some of the lessons that you have learned along the way and your excitement. And I am so excited to see what you guys come up with in the next 10 years as you scale. And I know you said you're going to do some super fun stuff next week for your
Yeah,
anniversary. And so everybody should watch your socials for that because fun stuff's coming, right?
definitely. Yeah. And we're giving away socks to celebrate. So if anybody wants some free socks, go ahead and check us out.
I love that so much. And that is at Spirit Socks SOX USA.
USA. Yep. .com.
Yep, Socks USA. I love it. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being here. This has been amazing. And I know I learned stuff from you.
Thanks,
And I hope
Nikki.
other people will too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on Scaling with Heart, where purpose fuels progress and people power possibility. If this episode brought you insight, inspiration, or a spark of strategy, share it with a fellow builder, leave a review, or spread the word. Until next time, keep showing up with clarity, courage, and compassion as you scale what matters most.